There's a moment you know too well, the moment you need to speak, but your body refuses to move. Your mind goes silent, your throat closes, your heart races, and suddenly the words you rehearsed disappear as if they never existed. People think freezing is a sign of weakness, of insecurity, of not being prepared. But the truth is far more complex, far more primal, and far more human. Freezing is not a failure of strength. It is a survival response coded deep inside your nervous system. And it has nothing to do with intelligence, confidence, or courage. It has everything to do with the way your brain learned to protect you. When you freeze, your brain isn't betraying you, it's saving you. Neuroscience shows that freezing happens when the amygdala, your brain's alarm system, senses threat. Not the kind of threat that will physically harm you, but the kind of threat that could harm your identity, your belonging, your emotional safety. Speaking your truth, expressing your needs, disagreeing, setting boundaries, or simply being seen. These moments feel dangerous to a nervous system that was shaped by past experiences of rejection, humiliation, or punishment. Your freeze response is your brain saying, if you stay still, you stay safe. Freezing is one of the oldest survival instincts in the human body, older than fight, older than flight. Animals freeze when escape is impossible, when attacking would fail, and when being invisible might be their only chance of survival. Humans inherited this same mechanism. When you freeze in conversations, in confrontations, in public speaking, or when you need to express your feelings, it is because your nervous system categorizes the situation as too overwhelming to fight and too dangerous to flee. So it shuts you down, not because you're incapable, but because you were trained to believe that silence is safer than expression. This training often begins in childhood. If you grew up in an environment where speaking up led to conflict, where expressing emotions felt unsafe, where mistakes were punished, where being misunderstood was common, or where your voice was ignored, minimized, or mocked, your brain learned a simple rule: staying quiet keeps me alive. For a child, silence becomes a shield. For an adult, that shield becomes a cage. So now, even when you want to speak, even when nothing is actually threatening you, your nervous system reacts as if you are still that child who needed protection. The freeze response is not psychological weakness. It is neurobiological conditioning, and it shows up everywhere. You freeze when someone confronts you. You freeze when you need to assert yourself. You freeze when someone crosses your boundaries. You freeze when you're asked to talk about your feelings. You freeze when you need to say no. You freeze when you want to ask for help. You freeze because your mind floods with adrenaline, your muscles stiffen, your thoughts vanish, and your voice disappears before you can stop it. That's not you being dramatic. That is your body entering a state researchers call tonic immobility, a temporary shutdown to keep you safe from perceived danger. What makes freezing so frustrating is that it happens even when your rational mind knows you safe. You know it's just a conversation. You know no one is attacking you. You know you're allowed to speak. But the amygdala doesn't care about logic. It only cares about survival. And your survival template was written long before adulthood, long before you had real autonomy. So your body reacts to old wounds as if they are still happening, even when the environment has changed. You are living with a nervous system that learned to fear visibility. The saddest part is that freezing makes people judge themselves harshly. They call themselves weak, passive, shy, awkward, broken. They replay conversations in their heads, punishing themselves for not speaking up. They imagine what they could have said, should have said, wish they had said. And each time they freeze again, the failure feels deeper. The shame grows louder. They begin to believe that silence is who they are, when in reality, silence is just the survival pattern they learned. But here is the truth neuroscience reveals. Patterns learned through survival can be unlearned through safety. The freeze response weakens in environments where you are allowed to speak without consequences. When you surround yourself with people who listen without judgment, who hold space for your voice, who don't punish your vulnerability. Your nervous system slowly rewrites itself. You begin to speak more. You begin to tolerate discomfort. You begin to reclaim your words, not because you forced yourself to be brave, but because your body finally believes that speaking won't kill you. Healing the freeze response begins with understanding that nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing. You are experiencing a natural response to past environments where staying silent was the safest option. Now your task is not to push harder, but to teach your body that the danger is gone. You don't need to fix your silence. You need to understand it. You need to honor the part of you that froze to survive. And slowly, gently, you need to show it that it's allowed to unfreeze. If this felt painfully familiar, if you saw yourself in these words, you are not alone. Thousands of people freeze, not because they lack courage, but because their nervous system learned fear where there should have been safety. The moment you understand this, the shame begins to lose power. Not anymore.